Hello ladies and gentlemen, today is going to be a unique review because I'll tell you what exactly happened. I hopped online and I wanted to check out the games that were played at the Sinkfield Cup, and so I began with the first one and I'm like, wow, Mamedyarov Nepo, let's see what happened. And so I start playing through the game and here comes an Imzo. I'm like, okay, this is looking fascinating. And here we are entering the super sharp e4 variation in the queen c2 line. This has been known to theory for a very long time, analyzed to death. I'm like, I'm curious where this is going. Sure enough, we are right headfirst jumping into the most crazy complex tactical skirmish variation where every single piece is hanging on the board twice, and after castles g5 comes to add insult to injury, and I'm like, wowzers, man, let's do this, awesome game. I keep on checking the game CD, not, oh my word, like everything is hanging, literally. Like you really need to take 2 weeks off from work just to get the least amount of handle of what's going on in this position. So I'm like, okay, let's have a look at how it goes. And then we go into this position, completely irrational, trade, everything comes off. And I'm like, oh, okay, now the dust has settled and it's all fine and dandy. And then I turn on my little book icon in the corner. Do I have a full screen? Yeah. I will move my not so attractive head to the other corner. I click on book and then I'm like, oh, okay. Right, so we are following theory still. We are on move 17. Now I'm gonna leave the book on for you a little bit. So I continue with rook c8, queen d1. And now we are down to one game, but we are following that game religiously for essentially until the point when the draw could be agreed upon. Interestingly, by the way, Anish, from whom you would expect to hold the draw, irrespective of position, really, managed to lose this against MVL, which only goes to show that the title of my most recent video, Not Everything That Is Equal Is a Draw, stands very, very true. Nonetheless, Nepo held it super duper easily, and after a few more moves, the rooks came off the board, and it's an instant draw. Essentially, we went right out of book out of the round into the canteen having a drink and a friendly banter. There was no real chess play today. I'm like, okay, let's check out Caruana Levon, and I'm going to switch back to recap mode. So I'm like, oh, okay, here we go. The good old anti-Berlin d3, finally not a Berlin draw. Let's have a look at how this went. c3, d5. I'm like, that's the chess I like to see. Takes. Now the board is on fire already. Immediate conflict and, fascinating chess. b4, bishop b6, a4. I'm like, oh, I'm liking it. Bring it. Castles, knight d2, bishop f5, bishop a3, e4. And I'm like, hello, here comes the next most famous recap by the legendary chess coach Andras, aka Chandra, because after b5, here we have the insane queen sack. And after bishop takes fg2, this is vastly reminiscent, by the way, of the super famous Lilienthal Capablanca game, where Lilienthal sacked the queen for a similar checking idea, keeping the king in the middle. And after rook g1, rook f8 check, knight e4, knight a5, 7 exclamation marks. One piece, one minor piece for the time being for the queen, and yet black is winning. And I'm like, wow, here comes my recap video for round 7. Boomski, baby. So I go all the way back to the key point where left plays a e4, and I'm like, okay, let's hope that this was never seen before. Here I go with the full screen, and you already see the party pooping. 41 games for this position, and the best part of it is that the top game on the top of the list is Caruana Aranyan, the very two dudes playing this game. I'm like, oh, here we go. Okay, let's see how far we are in book with this one. Take, castles, rook c8, Bishop d5, still book. In fact, we're still following the game of the same players. Pieces are coming off like there was no tomorrow. And here, king c2 is a bit of a novelty. At least it hasn't been played on the very elite level, but it's been played in other games. And after a few more moves, the game fizzles into a dead even endgame, which then the players hold to a draw. Note the fact that after 25 moves, the grand total of lost time combined on the two clocks works out to be 3 minutes, if my math is correct, because there's -7 + 4. So, yeah. Okay, well, that's not gonna make a really good recap, is it? When we have, in theory, on move 25, and by 27 we can draw again. So, I'm like, okay, let's have a look at linear Alireza. I also wanted to avoid a Hans Niemann recap because I feel like there is only so much and so many Hans Niemann game I can recap before it looks like I'm trying to ride the wave of him being in the limelight. So I'm looking at anything else I can do, and here we go. Here comes the linear pair, Dominguez linear against Firouzja game, going into a really wild Najdorf main line, and I'm like, this looks fascinating. And then it turns out to be this very funky variation, which I haven't had a look for ages, where black goes on for this check and then goes in for this check, which is a really, really bold way to play, in my opinion. And actually, I really like the position that occurs from this situation for black. And I looked at this, take, queen takes queen a1, knight back, queen d4, bishop d3, all makes sense. So white has got the two minors, but the pawn structure is a disaster. The king is a bit insecure. So I'm looking into it a little bit deeper. And at this point, I stopped and I'm like, okay, black is better. Engine says white is better. I have no clue what's going on. And I'm like, I cannot possibly review a game where I feel so strongly against the engine evaluation. Like, you know, you are supposed to explain things that's going on in the game. And I felt that this game was so alien to everything I know and understand about chess. It looks horrid to me for white. And I do understand that there is quite a lot of latent potential in the white minor pieces. You will actually see it in the game. But I felt like there was just not a real chance for white to do here anything whatsoever. And by the way, as luck would have it, on move 25, once again, I'm like, surely we are out of book. Answer, nope. Not a chance, buddy. Move 25 and still 2 master games in the database. So once again, we are totally in book. Admittedly, Castles actually is still book. So we followed theory for a while, and eventually the game ended in this, or landed rather, in this endgame scenario, which to my mind is still preferable to black, and my mind rebels against the idea of this not being at least a slightly better endgame for black, simply because the white double pawns are useless, and this guy is a little bit nervous, and if it's off the board, then the 2 pawns are simply they become a winning asset. That being said, white played here really good chess. Check, and then the white minors started to enter the fray, and actually here Dominguez came out on top a little bit. King e2, knight e3. And I think this is exactly the textbook case when things can get out of control for white. If we push these pawns a bit too soon, then the white minor pieces might find holes in between the pawns to plug in and block. Oh, plug in. That was a very good pun for those who have been following, by the way, the recent events of the Sinquefield Cup. Anyway, so yeah, this pawn formation made me a little bit worried for black. But in the end, Firouzja held the draw without any dramas whatsoever. If we lose this pawn with black, then it can become an issue, because then the passer on the f is going to be a decisive factor. But yeah, Alireza made sure that yeah, his piece activity was sufficient enough, and here the game fizzled into a draw. 3 out of 3 games, 25 moves into theory, and then into a forced draw. And then there was the MVL Hans Niemann game, which actually was a symmetrical Grimfeld, which actually didn't follow theory too deep. They actually got off the trodden path hereabouts, so that's only move 15, but very soon they entered an endgame scenario with myriads of trades, and a dead even endgame occurred, which again required, or in my opinion, I can offer very little commentary. So here we are, uniquely today. I have gone through, although probably rushed through is a better way to put it, all 4 games that were played, and very interestingly, we noticed a bit of I wouldn't call it a trend, but something that you definitely do see on top level chess, and that is their immense, absolutely immense level of preparation and understanding and memory of these openings that these guys play. I mean, 25 moves, that is absolutely shocking to see that 3 games out of 4 followed the opening theory that deep. Now, you can say that that makes chess boring, or you can say that that's what makes chess really exciting, because not a lot of people and players can actually stay in theory that far, remembering all the reasons, all the whys, all the hows. So as far as I'm concerned, it is the science part of chess, not so much the art, but that is also a very crucial and integral part of this beautiful game. A little bit of art, a little bit of science, a little bit of competition. Today it was all about the science, the homework, the investigation and the analysis of the openings, and then the memorization, but there was not an awful lot left there for us, the bloodthirsty viewers who would like to see games decided. But in my opinion, this is also a bit of a side of chess that needs to be appreciated and valued. So this round was all about opening theory. I hope that tomorrow we will see a slightly different round with slightly different games, with perhaps a little bit more to comment on. For the time being, that's it from me. I'm going to come back at you with round 8 recap tomorrow, so stay tuned. Don't forget to like, to sub, to comment and to super like, and I will be back with the next video soon. And I'm already telling you that right after the Sinquefield Cup, I have got a few very cool videos prepared for you. So once again, stay tuned.